the house. He's here being able to teach us about how to make more money with your small business. And of course, we are using this wonderful book that Steve Gibson has created. He's the founder of the Academy for Creative Enterprise. They have 735 groups that meet all over the world. And one of the things that we want to do as a foundation is that we want to expose you to these wonderful organizations. We do this on a digital platform, and then our goal is to be able to introduce you to these other platforms with different method of learning where they do things a little differently. Maybe they do things face-to-face, toe-to-toe, and in groups. But this is a wonderful one. So Kurt, if you're in the house, we're going to go into chapter number 5 in the Creating Family Prosperity and how to find jobs and how to make money where there's no jobs. Kurt, if you're here, I'm going to turn the time over to you. Take it away.
Hey, welcome back. We're still talking about creating that family prosperity. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, the status of your country. There are things you can do to improve, to get better. You can do this. You've got this. We are in lesson number 5. We're on page 25. Have your notes out, either digital, physical, however you want to do this. We're going to go through things just to kind of slowly build your business. Remember, it's simple. Something you can do. Look at the people around you. They're not smarter. They just have a little bit more knowledge, maybe a little more motivation. I don't know, maybe they don't have a little more motivation, but they're ready to roll. Let's go talk about it. You can do this. That's the main key. So lesson number 5, what must I know to make money in business? What are the things you need to know and think about and do? So let's talk about a few of those things. Consider these questions as we go through this lesson. Why are some of my neighbors who run small businesses in their homes still poor? All right, so the key here is we look at different businesses. We want to benchmark the good and the bad. We want to benchmark the people that are very successful in the space that you want to tackle, that you want to work in. What are they doing well? And do those things. But also look at your neighbors or anybody that's running a business, but they're just barely making it. Maybe they're doing some things that you shouldn't be doing. That's going to be a key factor as we go through today's lesson. Number 2, why does my neighbor who makes small crafts never seem to sell them? You know, it's great that you can make them. It's great you have that talent to be able to do that. But why aren't they able to sell them? Why don't they have those skills? Is it the quality? What is it? What's the difference here? All right, the next one here. What is the single largest reason that a business either makes money or doesn't? And what are the most important things I need to do every day to make money in my business? Because as you look at that, what we're talking about today, it's all about making the money. You can craft, you can produce whatever it is, but you have to sell and make money. That's the key to business, the key to a successful business. So continuing on page 25, we're getting into our main ideas here that business owners can make money in all stages of the GEM model. We're going to talk about that, gathering, enhancing, and marketing. And we're going to get into the correct pricing of products is critical for every business success. Good pricing will always include enough markup to create a good profit. And of course, we're going to get into marketing. And what's marketing? Everything you need to do to entice your customer to buy a product from you. That is the goal. That is the key. Again, if people aren't buying, if you're not selling, then you can't have a successful business. So go to the bottom there of page 26. Let's get into this GEM model here and talk about it. The most basic prowess that every business owner must apply in order to make a profit is called the GEM model. This model includes the 3 steps you must go through every time you want to sell the product or service: gathering, enhancing, and marketing. So get that gathering, enhancing, and marketing. We'll go through those, but take some notes. Think about these. Brainstorm your business. We'll talk about some business ideas here in a bit. So think about it. Let's get into gathering here. Gathering. Now, the gathering process, you need to gather 2 kinds of items: tools and equipment to use in the business, and the raw materials that make the product you will sell. Tools are the one-time expenses, but raw materials must be purchased each time you plan to produce more of the product you sell. For example, a cookie baker would gather an oven, rolling pin, spoons, mixing bowls, measuring cups, oven mitts, and cookie sheets. Those are the tools. And the flour, sugar, eggs, oil, salt, oats, raisins, and plastic bags, and the twist ties for wrapping the cooled cookies, those are the raw materials. Now, even if you're in the service business, there's the basic tools you need. You might need a phone, you might need internet service, you might need a computer, you might need some training. There's different things that you might need to do. You might have the raw materials to have printouts or things to give to people, your marketing expenses, things that you need to do. So you can look at it either way, whether it's a physical business like the cookies or a service business where you're providing a service. Continuing on the top of page 27, a word of caution about spending in the gathering stage. Most of your investment in the gathering should be in purchasing inventory raw materials. Very little should be spent in the tools and equipment. Many new business owners think they need fancy equipment not only to create their products but also to look fancy and successful. But fancy equipment cannot make a business successful. Just a new coat of paint cannot make an old piece of wood new again. Resist the urge to spend money on unnecessary tools and equipment. Or let me add, equipment that maybe it's too much for you. Maybe you need the basic. Sure, you want that fancy electric table saw, but maybe just a regular hand saw will work till you make enough profit to get the fancy table saw. So resist the urge to spend money on unnecessary tools and equipment. Your money will be better spent purchasing or making products to sell as a profit. So that's your gathering phase, getting things together, make sure you have it. Again, go basic here. You can always improve later, get better later. Focus on the things that you need at this point you are gathering. Now we get into enhancing. So during the enhancing stage, the raw materials are used to create the actual products you will sell to customers. To use the example of the baker, to enhance the raw materials, the baker mixes the ingredients to create cookie dough and then bakes the oatmeal raisin cookies. To further enhance his product and make it as desirable as possible, he might put a special frosting on the cookie. This additional enhancement may enable him to sell the frosted cookie for more than he could sell a plain cookie. This, with a little creativity and effort, but very little extra money, the bakers increase the amount of profit he can make on each sold cookie. So how can you enhance it? How can you make it better? This is where you're improving those raw materials and making them better. How can you improve them compared to your competition? So you've gathered, you've enhanced, now it's time to market. So marketing is everything that is done in the business to entice the customer to buy the product. Marketing starts when you identify a customer's need and ends when a product or service meets that need, has been delivered to a satisfied customer. Marketing does not need to be fancy in order to be effective. For example, the baker could market his products by offering free samples of his cookies and or wrapping the baked goods in an attractive way. As another example, the owner of a jewelry booth could wear a ring and a necklace so that when people compliment her jewelry, she can tell them that she sells pieces just like this at her booth. These simple marketing techniques can pay off in increased sales and higher profit. You can save money at each step of the GEM model, not just by selling your products at a high price. You can increase profit by thinking of creative ways to pay less for products in the gathering stage and by saving money in your enhancing activities. So let's look in the middle of 27 there, the GEM model. Let's do basic. You're selling lemonade. Gathering, enhancing, marketing. Now gathering, you list the tools and the raw materials you need to gather in order to make lemonade and start selling it. Pretty simple. What do you need? Lemons, probably some sugar, water, a couple of pitchers, a booth, a place to sell it. I mean, you're thinking through some different things that you can do at that stage. Then the enhancing stage. Once you have all the tools and raw materials, it's time to make the product you will sell. Keeping in mind that you want to add as much value to the product as possible. How do you enhance your raw materials? Again, how do you find them? How do you find them inexpensively? Can you make it a little better? Put a little raspberry in there. Maybe it's the amount of lemonade. What can you do different to enhance that product? Then marketing. Make a list of marketing activities for selling your lemonade. And we're going to go into some ways to do that here in a bit, but let's get into pricing there at the bottom of 28. Pricing is a big challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs that start a business, especially when they do services. They just don't charge enough. Sometimes you just have to take a look at your price and maybe double it, add a zero to it, especially if the value there. My message here is, if the value's there, have the courage to charge it, to do it. It's a little bit better. You provide a little bit different service, so be careful of pricing. Let's go over some tips here on the bottom of 28, then into 29. All right, so pricing. You can charge whatever the market will bear, which means you can charge as much as the customer will pay, no less and no more. If you charge less than the maximum amount a customer will pay, then you are not making as much profit as you could. If you charge more than the customer will pay, then you'll be left with unsold merchandise and you'll be out of business. With this method, you keep adjusting your price until you find the price at which you can sell your inventory the fastest while still making enough profit to cover all your expenses. And that's the key, a profit. It's great that you sold everything, but if you're losing money, that is not a good business model. Number 2, you can charge a customer twice the amount you paid for the item. So if you buy a banana for 1 peso, you might sell it for 2 pesos. This is a simple way to price your retail goods. So that's the doubling technique. So if it's a basic product, that's something you buy it for this, just double it. That's a good place to start if you're not sure where to start with your pricing. Number 3, you can do market research by finding out what your competitors are charging for similar products. You can then match those prices or charge a little more and offering a little something extra to make it worth the increased price. So look around. What are other people charging? Can you do a little something extra, charge a little bit more? You can offer quantity discounts. Look around, do some research. That should be part of your field work on the top of page 30. To help you better understand how to mark up your product, visit a marketplace and try to calculate the markup for different products. Talk to the business owners about how much their supplies or products cost. Record how much they will sell the items for and figure out the percentage of their markup. If you know small business owners, visit them and discuss the pricing of their products or services. If you have begun your IGA, income generating activity, figure out the markup of your products or services and decide if your markup is too high or too low. Now, will all store owners and business owners talk to you? No, but you'll be surprised how many will talk to you and will share information with you. And get out there, talk to people, open up your mouth, and find out the information that you need. And final thing, bottom there of page 30, based on what you've learned from this lesson, summarize what the GEM model is and why it can be a powerful tool in your business. And I'll add, map it out. What is your GEM? That is your next step to your business. So I know some of you are still stuck on what business can I do. Let me go over some ideas, different things you can do. You don't have to do any of these, but they might trigger something that you could do, that you can do, because some of you are just stuck on this phase. And maybe you have multiple businesses you can do. We're going to start with one. Let's brainstorm some ideas, some different things that you can do. So in the first category, can you consult? Can you be a consultant? Now this could be a career consultant, skincare consultant, wedding consultant, graphic designer, a public relations consultant, PR, a business consultant. Can you be a bookkeeper or help someone else learn how to keep their books? Farming. What do you do well or want to do well? You can learn how to do it and teach other people how to do it. They'll pay you for that. That's how business is done. That's how life is done. People need to learn how to do it. You know how to do it. So what do you do well right now that people will pay for? Or what can you learn to do well that people will pay for? Then there's the tech side. So are you good at social media? You can do other people's social media, build their sales funnel if they're marketing on the internet, help them build their YouTube channel, a website, SEO, that's search engine optimization. Are you good with AI, artificial intelligence? You can help people learn to do it or do it for them, or have that leverage their business is another thing you can do. Then another area to think about is coaching and camps. Can you do a success camp, be a success coach? Any sports? In fact, my daughter was good at soccer, so she just had 10-year-olds and gave them a one-day soccer camp. You can do anything with fitness, financial. My daughter also did the princess camp. It was a 3-day princess camp. What can you do that's creative? So this is more on the service side. If you're doing physical products, that's a little bit different. We've been talking about it, but this is kind of expand. What can you do? What can you do well? What do you have access to run a successful business? So some other questions to ask yourself. Have you done the market research? Talk to the people. Do you have a marketing plan? I mean, you can get on your phone, look it up right now, basic marketing plan, some questions to think through. Do you have a target audience? Do you know the demographics of the people that are going to purchase? This is not 100%, but most people might be 18 to 25 that buy your product. They might be in this income range, this education range. Who's the person that's most likely to buy your product? Because the worst thing to say here is, well, everybody. That could be true, but who for the most part is going to buy your product? And of course, we've talked about, do you have a unique selling proposition, the USP? What's going to make yourself a little unique? Is it your service? Is it the frosting on the cookie? Is it the little raspberry in the lemonade? Is it the wrapping? Is it they get buy one, get one free? What is unique and different about you compared to everybody else? So let's get into marketing. Marketing a new business in your country might require a creative, different approach. I mean, you need to really understand the local market. Do your research. What are their needs? What are their preferences? What's their buying power? What's their income? What's different? What's unique about them than other countries, and adapt to it? But you have to understand what that is before you can adapt to it. That's the key. Find out what's different about your local market and adapt to it. Next one, leverage local influencers. Who is it in your community that can help you out? They can give you an endorsement, a testimonial, a post on social media. What can you do to leverage the people that are talking, people that you know, people that will endorse you, give you recommendations, that will refer you, that will tell people that you're great at what you do or your product's excellent? That's what who can you leverage in your community, locally, on the internet, if that's an option? What can you do to leverage that local influence? Another thing to think about, build relationships in the community. Who's it you can build relationship with, work with, help, serve, get to know within the community that can help you with your business too? People buy from people that help them. People buy from people that serve them. People buy from people they like. And you're more likable when you get to know people in the community. Something to think about. Also think about establishing partnerships. There might be people near you that have existing databases you can use, a customer base that you can use, that have products or services that might be just different enough that they're able to market your product, you're able to market their product. You can do a joint venture, you can work together, you can have a partnership, someone in the community that you can leverage each other that you can use so you don't have to start from scratch. Something to think about. Another one, provide value and affordability to local market. What can you do different? Do you need to do payment options? Again, adapting to the community. What can you do? Do you have to adjust the payments? What can you adjust and make your product more affordable to your community? Another one, tailor your communication to the local culture, language, and values. Look at your branding, your advertising. What is it you need to do for your local audience? Even with social media, it's interesting as in different countries, some countries use a specific social media and the other country won't use it at all. So even within social media, some countries use different platforms than others. So how can you adapt to that? Final two, embrace social responsibility, meaning demonstrate your commitment to sustainable practices, community development, charitable incentives in your local area. This builds trust, and that's the key. And then the other final one, how can you use free marketing? So that's what I want to talk about. What can you do that's free? Let me talk about a few things just to brainstorm with you. You might come up with other ones. How can you market? How can you sell your product for free? Let's talk about a few of those because that's key. You can do this. There are forms of marketing that are free or low cost that you can do right now. So can you have a brochure that you can hand out? You can email, text the people you know. Direct mail starting to come back, just put a stamp on it. Can you use social media, a business card to hand out, a flyer, a poster. Give it out, a freebie or a sample. Don't be afraid to do that. Prove your worth. So maybe a sample, a freebie, a free coaching session. The first one's free, first cookie's free, first lemonade's free, the first sip's free. That can be very beneficial to prove your worth. Can you provide a free workshop? Talked about doing the joint venture with someone who's already established that has a product that's not competing with yours, but can enhance it, can be very similar. For example, if you're selling lemonade and they're selling cookies, maybe you can swap. You make the lemonade, they're making the cookies, but at both your stands, you're selling lemonades and cookies. That's a joint venture. A sticker promoting your website. Can you do a video to promote your product, an audio, a podcast, a free download, a gift, a newsletter? Just put it out there. Some things to definitely think about. But the biggest free one is open your mouth. Talk to people. That's the key. Talk to people. Let them know what you do. They might not be ready right now, but in the future they could be ready. Talk to people. In fact, I was talking to this guy. He was all upset that his friend, his neighbor, went to a different real estate agent. And he was all hurt about it. I'm like, you got to talk to him about it. He says that, I was really hurt when you went to someone else. I'm a real estate agent. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. They had forgotten. Just because you tell them once, get your mouth out there. So a couple ways to do this. Ask for referrals. Always ask, even if they're not interested. You know anybody that is. You know 2 or 3 others. Just ask them, say, look, after I prove my worth and solve your problem or challenge, that's the key to a business, will you give me referrals? And get the yes, talk to people. Give them referrals. You give somebody a referral, they're more likely to give you a referral is another thing that you can do. You can have affiliate programs or give them bonuses. If they refer people to you, maybe give them a little cash back or a couple free cookies or a free coaching session, whatever it is. That's okay to do. I mean, you got to check local laws, and it depends on the industry. You can volunteer at charities, organizations. You're like, what? I'm busy. Yeah, but when you volunteer, A, it's the right thing to do, but B, you're meeting people that are successful, that can help you out, that can purchase from you. That's a great thing. And the last one, your VBC, I've talked about this before, your verbal business card. Open your mouth. When people ask what you do for a living, they should say, wow, that's incredible. What do you do? I make the world's greatest cookies. I make the world's greatest lemonade. I solve people's challenges. If you were in real estate, you could say, have you ever looked at that perfect house? And you didn't think you could get in? I make that dream a reality. If I'm teaching influence and persuasion, have you ever had that prospect that needed your product, wanted your product, liked your product, could afford your product, but didn't buy? I make sure that didn't happen again. What can you say that's intriguing, interesting, that grabs people's attention? That's the key. Practice different things that you can say. Well, I double people's internet response. I help people use their social media that increases their income for their business. Your goal is get them intrigued, interested, and to say, well, how do you do that? Tell me more. Yeah, and then you have a potential customer to talk to. So open your mouth. That's the key. It's free. Open your mouth. Overcome your fears. That is the key to your success. So that's lesson number 5. Do the things that we talked about. Work on your marketing. Benchmark other businesses, of course. Think about the free things we talked about. Make sure you have your business idea set, because we get to the other lessons. You want to make sure you're starting to sculpt and mold your business and create that foundation for success. So do it, make it happen, become successful, become more charitable, give back more, make your business successful, and make the world a better place.
Thanks, Kurt. We appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much for sharing the wealth. Kurt has been as a worldwide successful author, businessman, and more importantly, he's a friend of the foundation. He has been very wonderful to work with and helping us to get all this wonderful material onto the platform. Thanks for watching. We're going to be right back with another segment.